Body Bernardo.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the beautiful Staples Center, Los Angeles, California. This is Premier Boxing Champions live on YouTube. Brought to you by Ringstar Sports, TGB Promotions, Corona, Find Your Beach, Casa Noble Tequila, The Noble Pursuit, and Showtime. This is the opening attraction of the evening, 6 rounds of boxing in the super featherweight division. At ringside, the 3 judges score in this bout will be Max DeLuca, Fernando Villarreal, and Zachary Young. And in the ring, the man laying the law when the bell sounds, referee Thomas Taylor. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, he's wearing the multicolored trunks. He weighed in officially at 130 1/4 pounds. His professional record, 27 victories, 23 defeats with 4 bouts even, 21 of his victories coming by way of KO. Fighting out of Ciudad Mexico, Distrito Federal, presenting Giovanni Caro. And his opponent fighting out of the blue corner, he's wearing maroon and silver colored trunks. He went in officially at an even 133 pounds. His professional record, 5 victories, no defeats, 4 of his victories coming by way of KO. Fighting out of Santa Maria, California, presenting the undefeated 2016 boxing Olympian, Karlos Bandera. Once again, referee in charge, Thomas Taylor.
Okay, Chief. Belt line's a little high here. Listen, I'm gonna let them at the top of the letters. Belt line's good here. Gentlemen, protect yourselves at all times and listen to my commands. Touch them up. Back to your corner.
Ray Flores, Chris Mannix, Abner Mott is here at Staples Center. Carlos Balderas, Giovanni Caro. As Balderas is undefeated, 5-0 with 4 wins by way of knockout. The 2016 U.S. Olympian looking to elevate his record to 6-0 here tonight against the 54-fight veteran.
You know, Ray, I had a chance to watch Carlos Balderas fight in Rio, and I came away from that experience thinking that Balderas was one of the better pro prospects that they had in Rio. Now, he didn't win a medal while he was there, but as you see here, he fights with a very pro style. A lot of guys at the Olympic level, they fight a pitter-patter style, trying to score points. Carlos Balderas comes to knock you out, and with that kind of size and that kind of reach, he has tremendous potential.
And Abner, you know about Carlos Balderas being embedded here in the fabric of boxing here in Southern California. What are some of from your standpoint, how special can this young man become?
I mean, first of all, he's got 5 fights, and he doesn't look like he's got 5 fights. Come on, he's fighting a guy who's got 54 fights. And you can tell from the opening round, you can tell how the experience, him using the jab, being more of a thinker in there. He's got a lot of experience, and he fought in the amateurs. He fought that pro style, the no headgear. So he's ahead of many prospects that are out there.
Nice left hook to the body by Balderas, and you're seeing that maturation. Typically, guys, Chris, when they are in the infancy of their pro careers, they like to go head hunting. Not Balderas. He is targeting the body of Caro.
Yeah, it speaks to that pro style that I was referring to. I mean, look, when guys come out of the Olympics, it takes them 10, 11, 12, sometimes more fights to develop that pro style and get away from that kind of pitter-patter stuff. You see right away, Carlos Balderas is built to fight like a pro, and Abner makes a great point. He's stepping up very early in his career against a very experienced opponent. You don't often see that at this stage of a fighter like Balderas' career.
Well, the handlers of Balderas certainly believe that they can put him on the fast track. He's only 21 years of age. He will be 22 on August 24th. But you could sense with his mentality that the focus is to become a world champion and to contend sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I love the slashing body shots we've seen early on. Not headhunting at all, looking to break his opponent down to the body and then come back upstairs.
And Abner, Mikey Garcia was in a similar situation like Karlos Balderas, fighting in the early portion of the card here at a very historic venue for boxing, Staples Center, but yet it doesn't seem to phase the 21-year-old.
Not at all. I mean, we see the experience. We see a Balderas that really did his homework on this fighter, despite him being a more experienced fighter. He's putting all his money on that body work, trying to bring him down, break him down, and using great distance.
Abner, the length of Balderas is really impressive to me. Like when he gets that jab down, that can be a lethal weapon for him as he goes forward.
Definitely. He knows how to use that jab and how to keep his distance.
Final moments of round one between Karlos Balderas and Giovanni Carro.
El cabrón está muy alto para empezar, ¿eh? Ajá. Cuando le das arriba está cabeceando un chingo el vato. O sea, luego, quiero que comiences allá abajo. Quiero que comiences a tirarla abajo, ¿vale?
There you see in the corner Giovanni Carro.
Tu jale vas bien. Ahorita, cuando le pegas te estás saliendo muy lento. Tiene que ser rápido, hijo.
What are they telling him, Abner?
They're telling him that he's being too slow, that he needs to move his head a little bit more.
Here is some of the work from round one. And look at that big right hand, followed by the body shot. No hesitation, Chris, by Balderas.
Upstairs, downstairs, back upstairs once again, steps out. Nice round for Karlos Balderas.
Well, Karlos Balderas, he's from Santa Maria, California. He was actually the first member of his family to be born in the United States. His grandfather worked in the strawberry fields from Oaxaca, Mexico. So Balderas, his grandfather, they actually had to sell a very important, a prized watch so that they could send his brother and him to a national tournament. So the grandfather sold his prized watch so that they could go and participate in amateur tournaments.
Now look, if you want to talk about an American success story, his grandfather coming to the U.S. first in the 1950s, immigrating full-time in the 1980s, as you mentioned, working in the strawberry fields, fighting to get his children there. Here you have Karlos Balderas, born in the U.S., and he becomes a U.S. Olympian, now fighting as an American. I mean, really a success story from that Balderas family.
And this is a way of paying them back, giving them great fights, and soon, not far from now, becoming a world champion.
And if you talk to Karlos Balderas, fiercely loyal to his grandfather, understands and respects all the sacrifices he made to help get him to this point.
Nice jab being set up by Balderas as he looks to go downstairs. And against a guy like Giovanni Carro, he hasn't allowed Carro to go and engage in much offense whatsoever.
No, he hasn't, and that's most of the aggressiveness of Balderas. But I think you learn in a fight like this, if you're Balderas, I mean, a lot of previous opponents might have gone down from that assault that Balderas laid in that first round. You have an experienced fighter like Carro, he can take some of those shots.
Yeah, and most of the times when you fight an experienced fighter like Carro, you fall into his trap, you fall into that game plan, you know, and to like fighting his way. But definitely Balderas being poised, being smart, and just fighting his smart fight.
When that's what Mikey Garcia has been so emblematic of. Big right hand backing up Carro, and Carro is being just lit up with heavy shots and a variety of different angles from Balderas.
You're the referee. You got to take a long look at this in between rounds if he stays upright. He has taken some bombs, and you got to be careful in situations like that. A guy's heart might be bigger to him than his brain.
Carro is being backed up a body shot, and Carro is getting tattooed with vicious shots downstairs.
Felt like that should be a knockdown, right? Sitting on the ropes, generally speaking, they call that a knockdown.
80 seconds left, round two.
Balderas doing a nice job of measuring him with that left hand and trying to really get him with that right hand, as we see right there. He's really trying to knock him out with that right hand.
That right hand has been finding its destination for Karlos Balderas. he just continues his distance, his reach. He always has Caro at the end of his punches with full force and trajectory.
I mean, just savage punches. Every one of these shots Balderas is throwing has bad intentions with him. As he moves his career forward, though, it's going to be interesting to see him against heavier punchers, because one thing we're not seeing is that jab I was talking about. You're not seeing a heavy reliance on just flicking that jab out there to use as a weapon.
Karlos Balderas in control against Giovanni Caro. Ray Flores, Chris Mannix, Abner Mares getting ready for Showtime Championship Boxing coming up 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific time. If you don't have Showtime, go to getshowtime.com to start your free trial. Abner, when you see a fighter that is getting pounded on in this fashion, which you have done to opponents in the past, how long do you think it takes for the referee, or when does the referee start to even think, okay, this is not good for the overall health of the opponent?
As soon as he sees a knockdown, I believe. But, you know, definitely game. Caro still holding his ground. He's an experienced fighter.
I thought you were going to say, Abner, as you've been pounded on before.
No. Abner has done the pounding, not having been pounded upon. And what are they telling Balderas here in the corner, Abner?
Have confidence in yourself, keep your hands up, and keep that distance.
And here is some of the work from round 2, compliments of Karlos Balderas.
You see Balderas flicking that jab out there, coming in, big right hand, following it up. He's looking for that one-punch knockout, but he has been disciplined in going back downstairs to the body when he has to.
Round number 3, there you see the 21-year-old who will be celebrating his 22nd birthday on August 24th, less than a month from now, taking on Giovanni Caro. As Caro, you see with the 54-fight veteran that his face has certainly reddened as we commence round 3.
You know, Ray, when you say his grandfather was working in the strawberry fields, I think people need to understand his grandfather was working in the strawberry fields into his mid-80s. He was doing it for a very, very long time to support that Balderas family.
Well, and Carlos is not the only fighter in the family. His older brother, Jose Balderas, is undefeated and is also has fought tonight as well. So the Fighting Balderas brothers, as Carlos now has gone to southpaw. Now he goes to conventional.
And when I was in Rio, the family members were telling me that the brothers, they just constantly were hyperactive. They constantly fought each other, and they couldn't figure out how to, like, slow them down. They tried to punish them, tried to make them work in the fields themselves. The only thing that really settled them down was boxing. Getting them into the boxing gym, where they were able to channel all that energy.
When Chris, as you pointed out, that's why Carlos got into the boxing gym, because they just love to mix it up. And some guys are natural-born fighters. Big right hand by Karlos Balderas. Abner, you're a natural-born fighter. Mikey Garcia talking about family history. Karlos Balderas, I think there seems to be that prevailing, lineage with what we talked about when it comes to fighting families.
Yeah, when you say Balderas, you have to say Balderas family, because there's his history. There's always a story behind it. He's got the brother. Oh, headbutt. That was a massive headbutt. Hopefully nobody got cut.
Thankfully, there was no laceration, because under the unified rules, 4 rounds need to be completed if it even got to the point of blood, but thankfully there is no cut whatsoever.
And so far, I'm liking this fight for Balderas, because he's been able to combine his combinations. He's been able to let off that jab. He's been able to do a lot of things. And most of the times he gets these guys out in 1-2 rounds, and he doesn't get that work.
Under a minute left. Don't forget, coming up 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 Pacific time, Showtime Championship Boxing, a triple header, the lightweight unification matchup featuring Mikey Garcia, Robert Easter Jr. It all comes away from Staples Center here in Los Angeles. If you don't have Showtime, get Showtime.com to start your free trial now.
And I mentioned the size of Karlos Balderas in a fight like this, and the reach of Karlos Balderas. That's also applicable to Robert Easter Jr., who has to use that size to try to have any shot of winning against Mikey Garcia.
Yeah, if Robert is to pull out the victory, Chris, as you pointed out, he needs to keep himself at distance and not allow Karlos Balderas or someone like a Mikey Garcia to get on the inside.
Yeah, Mikey Garcia is technically proficient as they come in boxing. You get on the inside, he's got that quick hook. You saw him land one of those to put Sergey Lipinets down in his last fight. So you want to keep at a distance, that's for sure.
3 straight echoing right hands by Karlos Balderas to conclude the 3rd round. We're halfway home. Balderas looks like he can go to the club right after this, gentlemen. He looks like he's ready for West Hollywood this evening.
He's got a
I don't
few
hang out in
punches.
West Hollywood that much, so I don't really know what that looks like.
If you could go ahead once again, translate for us, Abner.
Sure, they're asking him if he feels okay. Breathe.
Ocupo que continúes, ve allá, velo allá. Nomás hazme caso. Si no le vas a tirar, le tienes que tirar porque ahorita van a parar la pinche pelea, hijo.
What is the discussion going on now? Well, let's take a look at some of the work here from round number 3.
Missed on the uppercut. Good right hand, though, from Balderas to bounce back.
Beautiful right hand, and I like the way he kept that distance. He didn't smother his punches. He didn't get in too close where he had to smother his punches.
Well, there was the accidental headbutt. What was the conversation in between the corner of the trainer of Giovanni Cotto and him? What were they talking about, Abner?
They're basically telling him that he needs to let his hands go, or else they're going to stop the fight.
A big right hand again that connects for Karlos Balderas. But Balderas, he's starting to use his jab more, Chris. As you pointed out, where's the jab? And there's a heavy right hand that find its mark.
And look, that's the key to everything for a fighter of this size. If you can fight behind the jab, you can beat a lot of opponents in your weight class and above. You know, you made the joke about how good Balderas looks. I mean, it's always about if you can fight or not. Like, if you can't fight, you can't be a star. But if you can fight and you're English speaking and you're a U.S. Olympian and you have the ability, as Balderas will, to move up into the heavier weight classes, you have enormous star potential. I've talked to his promoter about this, Richard Schaefer, who worked with Oscar De La Hoya, and hyperbole runs amok in those types of conversations, but he does believe that Karlos Balderas has that star potential outside of the ring.
When let's not forget, he's fighting here at 130. He's only 21 years of age, so in theory, he will move up at least 1 or 2 weight classes. A heavy right hand that backs up Cotto, and Cotto is not throwing with as much volume as he was in the 1st and 2nd round. Not that he was throwing much at all, but even more so, his activity level has lessened.
You know, guys like Caro, Abner, they fascinate me.
Yeah,
because there's just guys that have been fighting for this long with 23 losses on your resume. I mean, what gets you out of bed to keep coming back to fight these types of fights? I had a long conversation once with Derek Finley, who was like the epitome of that at 154, 160 pounds. Just keeps coming back for this reason, because he can give a young opponent rounds. I mean, what gets guys like this out, it's incredible.
Give some rounds and definitely feels like he got the experience and maybe, you know, get a win. Getting a win over Balderas, imagine that it's a lot for Giovanni Cotto.
Changes your life and changes your bank account probably a lot more too.
Big left hook, and now and this one is over. Karlos Balderas finishes off Giovanni Cotto as he improves to 6-0 with 5 knockouts. He certainly has the sizzle. The young man is on his way to being a hot young prospect.
Yeah, absolutely is. Impressive performance and a good stoppage by the referee. Caro was taking a beating. I think in that round, the referee was looking for an opportunity to stop the fight.
Yeah, great fight, great opponent. I mean, I'm glad he went to 5 rounds. He needed that, and a great win for Balderas.
But the emphasis for Balderas to feel like he could wipe out Cotto. He didn't leave him. He could have coasted to a decision, but instead he picked up his work rate and started tagging Cotto in different ways, and that led to Thomas Taylor bringing an end to the fight in the 4th.
Yeah, you want guys at that age to have that killer instinct, to want to go for the knockout, to not want to cruise. Karlos has that in spades.
Abner, talk us through what you just saw.
We saw intelligent Balderas measuring him. Great uppercut. Great combinations like always. And always looking for that body work.
That was that left hook that staggered Cotto, and then look at the onslaught by Balderas.
Yeah. He saw that he was hurt, and he just said, you know what, a flurry might do the job, and the ref might step in.
Here's another look at it.
Look, none of these punches were necessarily concussive in strength, but they were thrown in volume. And this is what you want, too. If you're not going to get that one-punch knockout, throw a whole bunch of punches. You've done this before in your career.
Yeah.
Throw a bunch of punches so that the referee has to step in and stop the fight.
And that's the reason why I say he threw a little flurry, waiting for the referee to step in, and he did his job. Balderas, I'm really impressed.
Well, let's take a look at the second left hook. There it was, bang, right there. That had his head almost in the front row, and then Balderas swarmed him.
Yeah, so it was a great stoppage by the ref. He was taking a lot of shots.
And now here's Rafaelez with the decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, official time, 2 minutes, 9 seconds of round number 4. Referee Thomas Taylor calls a halt to the bout. Your winner by knockout and still undefeated from Santa Maria, California, Karlos Balderas.
So Karlos Balderas is now 6-0 with 5 knockouts, certainly bringing a smile to his older brother and his grandfather and all his family members that have made the drive from Santa Maria, California. And now we prepare for our next affair here on the